So I've been teaching the art of deep reading on YouTube and my podcast for over 2 years now. And I think the biggest lesson I've learned is what I'm going to share in today's episode of the Read Well podcast. Last night we were in book club. We were talking about Behave. It's a book by Robert Sapolsky that discusses why we do what we do in terms of neurology and biology and cultural systems and so on. And somebody made the comment of, wow, there's so much good information in here and I'm not going to remember any of it. There's just too much. And I got to thinking about how, or at least what I've learned that helps me to remember the important things that I read, and that's what I'm going to share with you today. Let's get into it. Hey everyone, welcome back to the Read Well podcast. My name is Eddy and I am really excited to be back. It has been a hot minute. First of all, I went on vacation. We were on a cruise. It was great, but about 4 days in, my 10-year-old got sick. And I guess when you put, 6,000 people on a boat, somebody's bound to get ill. My child got that sickness and lovingly passed it to me and my wife and the other siblings and so on. So we had to spend the last 2 days of our cruise crammed mostly in our tiny little cabins trying to recover. Came home, went to the doctor, and I'm still just full of it. So if my voice sounds froggy, I'm sorry. It is not editing. It is not your phone or your TV. I guess your laptop, whatever. I just am sick. So please be patient with that. And let's jump into this lesson. Now, again, somebody mentioned the comment of I don't know how to remember what it is that I'm reading. As I'm going through the book, I'm thinking, wow, this is really great. This is fascinating stuff. Now, Behave itself, we just finished it in book club last night, and it's a large book. It's 700-ish pages, and it's science-based material. Luckily, Sapolsky is a very good writer. He's funny. He makes things accessible and so on. But it's still quite a lot to take in, and there are just hundreds and hundreds of gems. And so it's very normal, I would think, to feel at the end of this book that there's just simply too much to retain. And maybe you can relate to this. Maybe you've read a really great book and thought, wow, this is life-changing. And then a week goes by, and you're kind of looking through your bookshelf there, and you come across the book you just read, and you think, oh, that was a really good book. And you've already forgotten most of it, and this is normal. So let's start with the idea of sort of the spine, not the spine, but the open pages of a book. If you're listening to the podcast, I'm holding up Behave, which looks like I just bought it out of the bookstore, except for the wear and tear, because I've been reading it. I'm also holding up my copy of Letters from a Stoic by Seneca. And if I look at those pages, there are lots of little sticky notes or flags sticking out of it. I made the comment last night that reading a book is a lot like meeting a new person and going out to dinner with them. Now, my friends, my wife and I have been trying to sort of expand our friend circle lately, which has been really great, but I've been learning some skills there as well. When I go out to dinner with a couple for the first time, they're usually very polite and kind, and you leave going, wow, they were great. That was fun. But that's all I know of them is that one single experience. And I don't know the quirks. I don't really know what makes them interesting. And it takes a while before you can actually call somebody a friend. You have to go through experiences together. You have to win some. You have to lose some and so on. Anyway, a book feels a lot like a friend, really. First time you read a book, it's kind of like going to dinner with that friend for the first time. And you go through the pages and you feel very impressed by what's there. You enjoy the experience, hopefully. And when you're done, you put it back on the shelf. And if it's a friend you want to get to know better, what do you typically do in life? You're going to invite them out to dinner again next week, maybe this time at your house instead of theirs. Maybe you'll go to a movie, whatever. So here's how this works. After you read a book the first time through, if you think to yourself, okay, that was a really good book. I liked it. I want to get to know it better. I want to remember the things that were really impressive the first time through, not just to remember them, but I actually want to use some of this information in my life. Well, if you're going to do that, you have to make your book look not like the pages of my Behave book, because I haven't done this yet. I just finished the first reading last night. But those pages, again, there are no sticky notes. There are no physical Post-its sticking out of it. And compare that with the Seneca version that does have the notes. And by that, what I mean is, at the end of the first reading, go back to page 1 and don't reread it, but just go back and look at all of the passages that you highlighted. And what you're going to find is that many of the passages you found interesting the first time through aren't really that important. They're not that interesting. They're not that needed. and you're going to know the entirety of the book, and you'll be able to pick out the passages that really do matter. And for those, add a little sticky note and perhaps do some journaling about it and think about that concept. Now, the more you journal about it and the more you think about it, perhaps you go for a walk today and you think about this idea and you sort of relate it to how it applies to your job or raising your kids or another book that you've read or a project you want to start or a project you have started and can't seem to finish, whatever it is, right? You try to think about that idea in relation or in context of your life. The longer you do this, the more that thought, that idea from the book is going to sort of be stored in your head, because your brain is a funny thing. There's this part of your memory system called working memory, where when you grab a new piece of information and you're actively working on it, it's in working memory. And the longer you keep it there, the more that you play with it, the easier it is for your brain to package that up into a nice little cube and ship it off to long-term memory when you're done with it. That's nice, because down the road, when you think, what was that thing I read in Behave? And you're able to sort of go through the index of long-term memory cards, pull it out, and you'll be able to use it. So that is the tip, is at the end of your first reading, don't put it on the bookshelf. Go back to page 1, find the most important passages, and spend some time with them. And that is how you remember what you read. Now, if you're thinking about joining us for book club, there's a little segue before we end this episode. We're actually starting season 3 of the Read Well Podcast Book Club on June 17th, 2025. And we're beginning with one of my favorite books, The Grapes of Wrath by John Steinbeck. So if you've been thinking about joining, now is a really great time to do that. You can pick up the books at edgewaterbookstore.com. I have all of the season 3 books we'll be reading there. And if you join us, we would love to meet you. We have great discussions every Tuesday night, live in a virtual group together. It is absolutely fascinating and enjoyable. So thank you for listening. I hope you got something out of this episode. And until next week, as always, remember to read slowly, take notes, and apply the ideas. I'll see you all next time.